Hey, this is DeRay. Catch my show, the Alston Collab Money Talk, every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. On my show, you'll be able to hear all things regarding money, success, and personal development. Tune in on Wednesday in the Grace Journey. Jump in. Good morning. Again, happy Wednesday. It is October 11th. We are live in beautiful Arlington, Texas. This is the Alston Collab Money Talk. We are streaming live on the Fishbowl Radio Network on fbrn.us. We also just jumped live on Facebook as well. So thank you for everyone who will be tuning in. And if you do find any of this information helpful, please don't hesitate to share it on your pages, on your social media, tag a friend, and share the content. I do have a special guest with me in studio today, Brian Albritton. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you, bro?
I'm doing well. Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming in. We are going to be talking about his journey in corporate America, transitioning from an HBCU. Man, yeah, me and my boy went to Hampton University together. It's always good to connect with my fellow. It's a lot of us out here doing big things, man. So y'all motivate me to stay on my game, man, because there's a lot of people out here moving at a fast pace, man. So, even if we don't talk every day, bro, I see you from afar doing your thing, man. You out here grinding, making it happen. And we're going to talk about that. But before I get to that, every week I've been just giving an update on how my Dallas Cowboys have been doing. Yeah, already shaking your head. So I'm going to be real brief. We lost again after giving up a big lead to the, I forgot who we played, Packers. The Green Bay Packers. Again, they came back and beat us at the end. A lot of things that went wrong in that game. But that might not even be the biggest news about my Dallas Cowboys that took place after the game. And that was Jerry Jones came out and made all these crazy statements, which I really, really wish he hadn't said that, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Cowboys fan, but he just left a really sour taste in my mouth. And I'm not sure if you saw where the VP went to the game and left, which I didn't get the whole.
That was a PR stunt. That was planned.
Right, yeah, it was planned. It was planned because he came from Las Vegas, flew out there on a private jet, and just in the sand. It happened to be the 49ers that was playing. So
the press corps didn't even get out the van. They told him to stay in. That was planned.
Yeah. So
it's a reality show to Trump.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother theme, man. It seems like he's just really divisive, man. We need to be more focused on coming together and recognize our differences and understand that from what I've seen and read, a lot of these players who are doing the protest, they don't mean any disrespect to the national anthem or to the flag at all. They realize they're blessed to be here and to play football, but there's also a lot of things that are going on toward our people.
Yeah.
Now, it's kind of a good segue. My man got this Detroit versus everybody hat on, so I don't know if y'all saw the BT Wars last night. My man Eminem did the acapella freestyle, man. What did you think of that?
Man, I watched that video at least 4 or 5 times.
I didn't watch it again, right? I watched it live, and so. I
didn't see it live. I just saw like the trending topic of Eminem, and I was like, oh man, what did he do? But then I saw the video. M can come to the cookout, man. He would have.
Oh yeah.
M can come to the cookout.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, we drafted him back a long time ago.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think that was real. Just kind of speaking up for a lot of people who don't have a voice, and come from someone that's white.
Yeah.
That's white. Although he makes hip hop music, but he can see it. So I don't see why other people can't see it. But I was telling my mom earlier, I don't like to spend too much time on what goes on in the news and all these, because it'll get you distracted from your task. And us, young brothers trying to make it out here, we need to be focused on whatever we're doing and what we're working on. So again, I appreciate you for taking some time to
appreciate you having me.
Yeah, to stop by and talk to me. So me and Brian, like I said, we met back at Hampton, and it's almost been 10 years.
04. When we go for wearing jerseys.
Right. Jerseys, tall tees, and whatnot. So I met him back then. I had a tremendous experience going to a historically black school, but I know you're from Michigan. I know you're a UM fan. things didn't turn out too well for them over the weekend.
Come on.
But just talk about your experience by going to HBCU and how, that kind of helped you and led you to, corporate America.
Yeah, I mean, so I grew up in an HBCU family. My mother went to Bennett originally, and then she finished at Clark Atlanta. My father went to Morehouse. That's how they met. Grandparents went to Morris Brown. So it was always predetermined I was going to an HBCU. My mom said she wasn't giving money to a school other than an HBCU.
I like that. Hey, I dig that.
And so, not to get too personal, but it was always meant for me to go to Morehouse. That was always the game plan. That's where my pops went. What
happened?
So there were some family things that occurred that made Atlanta not be a place I wanted to be at that moment in time. And it worked out for the better. Pure serendipity. I decided Hampton. Howard never appealed to me. It was in the city. My best friend went to Howard. My sister went to Howard. My dad went to Howard Law School.
Really?
We all have to live with our mistakes,
Right.
So it was Hampton. The women were beautiful.
Oh my goodness, bro! Howard was actually my first choice. After I was looking at University of Houston, but I wanted to kind of get away. But Howard was actually my first choice over Hampton, but they were like really slow in getting all the paperwork done for my dorm room. It's like a couple weeks before school was about to start, they hadn't even told me where I was staying, and Hampton had already sent me all the information. So I'm like, so I'm going to Hampton. Yeah. So same thing with me. It kind of worked out for the best. Yeah.
I mean, it was the best decision I could have made. I mean, I met some of my closest friends in life.
Right.
My career actually started as a result of being close friends with a Hamptonian.
Oh yeah, who was that?
Ryan Boyd.
Ryan. Okay.
Yep. So
we definitely need to get into the career. Shout out to my boy Ryan Boyd. You know what I'm saying? All of y'all used to work for here. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's why I didn't say nothing too bad.
Right. But we definitely want to get there. What did you major in, bro?
I was a finance major.
Finance major?
Yep.
Okay.
So doing nothing of the sort. I think that's the thing that I took away from college. College teaches you how to learn very quickly, right? And unless you're like a lawyer, an accountant, or like a doctor, those things are necessary. But other than that, most people aren't doing what they studied. I wanted to go on Wall Street, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I had that dream too.
But life has been good, so I can't complain.
Right on. So let's go ahead and just kind of move along into your career.
Yeah.
And before we did that, do you feel like Hampton did do an adequate job of preparing you to go into corporate America?
Hampton prepared me for life. That's for sure. And I think
life, because you learn a lot just by being out there on your own. Just
for sure.
There's tons of distractions, so you gotta stay focused.
For sure, man. And I think life is about navigating personalities. It's about navigating relationships. It's about navigating pitfalls. And I think Hampton did a great job in preparing me for that.
I'm glad you said that. Because I mean, obviously the book stuff is good, but how much of the book stuff that you read that you actually remember, and like you said, that you even use in your actual career. So I think that's a good point, just about building relationships and that interaction, and like you said, learning
soft skills. Yeah.
Right. I'm glad you said that.
And my other thing too is, it's funny because we'll talk about it, but obviously I worked in technology, so I worked with people coming from who's who of places: Stanford, Harvard, Penn, Wharton. And for me, I was like, I'm in the same room as y'all. I'm at the same table. So
there you
just
go.
because Hampton is not what you guys expect, it prepared me enough to be here.
Right.
And that's always been my mentality. So
shoot, Hampton costs up there with some of the big schools. Shoot, they need to be recognized up there with them. Heck yeah. So you said that one of your relationship, Ryan Boyd, he's actually from Texas. I actually met Ryan before I think somehow his mom knew my mom, and I don't know if they were good friends, but they knew each other. And she was like, "Hey, my son's going to Hampton. I heard they raised up there in Hampton." So we had met her. I think we went to either Papados or Red Hot and Blue right here in Arlington.
I had money. I
don't know about that. Maybe Ryan. Right, but we had met before he got to Hampton, and I know you guys have been pretty tight. So how did that relationship lead to your next endeavor?
So I loved Hampton so much, I did a victory lap and did a 5th year.
I wish I would have did a victory lap.
It wasn't by choice. It was because I was messing around the first 4. But second semester, senior year, me and Ryan connected, and it was just one of those scenarios where you meet a friend and it's like y'all know each other forever. Like to the point where most people assume we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it was the last semester we were at Hampton that we actually met.
Okay.
But so after we left Hampton, Ryan was interning for the Dallas Cowboys, and they were starting this group sales department. And so Ryan was like, hey, like, I think I can get you on, or I think I can get you an interview.
Right on.
And Ryan Boyd is literally the only person in life that could convince me to move to Texas. That's for sure.
Have you ever been out here before?
I had never been out here until the interview. I came out for the interview. They offered me the job. So the first time here was the interview. Second time I was moving here with nothing but 2 suitcases.
Hey, just starting out.
Bro,
just starting
no
out.
car in Dallas, man. It was
did you go back home first, or did you?
I was home. I was home just working in like retail, like trying to find a job.
Okay.
As most of us were, like at the bottom of the economic downturn. So
right. You came right out at that time. I remember that.
So Ryan convinced me to apply, interview, got it, moved out here and started working in group sales for the Dallas Cowboys, man, selling group tickets, group tours at the stadium, group tickets to special events.
Right.
And so
how was that experience, just working with the professional sports team? Because I always looked at you, I'm like, man, that would be like, if I was going to work, you know what I'm saying? I would want to do something in sports, you know, something that you like. I love football. I love the Cowboys, let alone. But how was that experience just working with a professional organization, let alone the Cowboys? We talk about branding. That's a whole nother.
So, I mean, like, at the time, it was so exciting. Like, the All-Star game had just passed. They were prepping for the Super Bowl. That was the next season. It was super exciting. On top of that, like, it was 18 of us that all started together. Most of us were not from here. We were experiencing and exploring the city together. And the Cowboys prepared me well for my career. They prepared me to, you know, understand what grit looked like, understand what grind looked like, never be afraid to have a conversation with somebody or make a dial to somebody. And also just understand like how to build relationships.
That is so important.
Peers and clients alike. So, you know, the Cowboys were phenomenal for my career, and you know, I always joke that I owe it to Ryan for convincing me to move out here, because had he not, I don't know that I'd be in sales, you know, 7 years later.
Right. Okay. So did you get to meet Jerry?
I met Jerry. So funny story. So Jerry comes into our training, and he's about to speak, and we all pull out pen and pad and get ready to write down whatever Jerry says. Right. Because he started off his career as a salesperson. He started off his career selling insurance. And so he says, there's 3 things I learned that made me successful in sales. He said, first thing, ask for the money. And he looks up, he's like, yeah, that's real. I don't remember the other 2, and walked out. For real? That was what he said. That's what he said? Ask for the money. He's like, I don't remember the other 2, and walked out.
Damn, that's funny. Hey, I guess that's the most important one then. For sure. Hey, if you try to go get some, we went to the game last year to see the Eagles. We got our tickets before the game. I mean, before the season even started. Yeah. You know, I think we paid like a couple $100s, and we were like up at the top. Yeah. And this was like, we weren't like really winning the whole bunch. You know what I mean? But it was an aggressive price point, but I mean, it's an experience. Yeah, they were aggressive. To say the least. It's an experience unlike any other, though. Everybody who comes into Cowboy Stadium leaves it is
amazed. Yeah, for real. Like the energy and the vibrations in there was. Yeah. It's amazing. That's why it's such a shame that he had to go make all these comments. Like, people probably could have guessed by, you know, his background and his political connections that he may have been like that, but he had to just go and say it. Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but you said that was a tremendous like learning experience. What are some things that you did learn just about sales by working with the Cowboys, other than asking for the money? Hustle, man. So, you know, it was very much a sports mentality because we were in sports, right? So we had signs all around the office about hustle, about grind. Yeah. You know, Michael Irvin was really well known for walking out on the practice field and saying, "Who's going to outwork me today?" And so that was a mantra that we were using as well. But yeah, man, it taught me, you know, it just taught me the grind. It taught me to be okay walking in the office at, you know, 7 a.m., walking out at 7 p.m. And, you know, this was back before, like, you didn't have as many sales prospecting tools as you have now, right? This was before, like, Zoom Info and even LinkedIn was used as a massive prospector. So, man, me and Ryan used to, like, ride down the highway, like, writing notes on names on buildings or like companies and be like, all right, see if anybody has that in the CRM.
Yeah.
And then like go and make that be the first, 5-6 calls we made in that day.
There you go.
So,
right.
Just the hustle, man. That's what we taught.
Yeah. And I remember Ryan hit me up because I had just started out my career. I was probably like 10 months in. I was with Everett Jones Investments. Yeah. And I just moved back to Texas. I was starting my business, working on building, my clients, prospects. I started with nothing, by the way, like zero. So that taught me a lot about hustle and grit when you ain't got nothing. No one, no cold call, nothing, like no list or nothing. And he was like, hey, DeRay, if you got any clients that want to come out, take a tour of the stadium, bring them out here, just trying to build a relationship with other people. I'm like, I ain't got no clients.
Yeah. That's real.
I'm like, bro, when I get there.
I got you.
By that time, he was already in New York.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, that's dope. Just kind of having to learn to hustle and grit and just get out there and meet people. So before you started that, did you even see yourself as a sales type person?
I didn't. My parents have said that they saw it and that it didn't surprise them. Because I've always just I'm not a cheesy salesperson. Like, I try not to be that. Like, for me, like when I talk to somebody, I'm like, hey, look, like I'm going to present the facts. Hopefully it's something that makes sense for you. Yeah. And that's going to help you. Right. And it's going to provide value to you. And then you make an educated and informed decision. So I've always just, to us, our friendship, I've always built authentic relationships with people. And that's what the best salespeople do. Right. But like, as far as like just having a great script and being able to like wow you, that's not me. That's never been me. Right. Just close you and talk you into the sale. Like, he didn't want to buy it. Because truth be told, like I'm an introvert. Like I just hang out with extreme extroverts. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not the furthest to the left on the introverted side, but like, there are people that I hang out with that are just, they can light up a room, and that's me. I move a lot differently. Yeah, but I think that's good, just on that note, as far as building strategic relationships, you want to have people that are in all different ecosystems. You want to have extroverts or introverts. You want to have Black friends. You want to have white connects. You want to have someone who's in sports and sales. You want to have someone who's an entrepreneur. You want to know someone who's in radio. You want to have, an in-depth and long network, because your network equals your net worth. Ain't that what they say? Yeah, something. I've heard that. Yeah, something along those lines. Right. So, what happened when you left the Cowboys? What was your next move? Yeah, so I wanted to get back closer to home, but I did not want to go to Detroit, even though it's still Detroit versus everybody. And so I ended up going to Chicago. I took a role with Groupon. So it was great. Really? You was with Groupon? Yeah, so just for a year. Stock gonna go back up, man. I be looking at their stock. It's not. It's not? Nah, it's not. $4? It's not. But not a lot of people use Groupon. But so when I was there, I have no ill will towards Groupon. Groupon treated me super well. Yeah. They brought me to Chicago. When I was there, it was the fastest growing company in the history of NASDAQ at the time. And so I sold into large hotels in the Southwest and mountain region of the country. I sold their travel platform, Groupon Getaways. Oh, so when you go on Groupon, you see those travel packages. So who are you selling to? The hotels? Yeah, so like large hotel chains. So how does that work? You like just get them to so it's discount their stuff and you let y'all put it on Groupon? Yeah, so we talked about it as like supplemental revenue or supplemental income. At the end of the day, the hotel that we're looking at out the window, they've got 400 rooms and they got 200 of them booked. That means 200 are going unbooked, which means they're leaving money on the table. So the conversation was around, like, I know you're not going to get what you typically get for the room, but if I can put somebody in this room at, 75% of what you were making, that's still net positive revenue. That's still, for 3 or 4 days. That's an opportunity for you to get money at the bar and through, the restaurant, right? And so why would you not, do this to have that sounds pretty dope. So you like just on the phone calling? Yeah, just having conversations. I would come into the territory and meet with people for a week or so at a time. Oh, so you met with like local hotels in the area? Yeah, so like local GMs or like hotel chains. Okay. I'm purposely not mentioning some of the largest clients just because of like NDA stuff, non-disclosure stuff. Gotcha. No doubt. But anything that have any hotel group that own more than 15. I was typically talking to the GMs or the executives for that group. Got you. All right. Groupon. So
After that, was it LinkedIn?
It was LinkedIn.
That was also in Chicago?
That was also Chicago. Okay. So
man, these pretty good, well-known companies, the Dallas Cowboys, Groupon, LinkedIn. That's what's up.
I've been lucky, man. And LinkedIn was transformational for me as a person, for my career.
Really? Why? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so LinkedIn just moves so differently. It's far and away the best company I've ever worked for.
LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, first off, they celebrate wins in and out of LinkedIn, right? So when I left LinkedIn to come to Qualtrics, it was a celebration. We call it next play. It's a play on what Mike Krzyzewski yells out after every play at Duke. He yells out next play. Coach K, yeah.
Blue Devils.
So, they celebrate wins, they celebrate promotion.
So even if someone got another opportunity,
it's a celebration because at the end of the day, so this is what I was told when I first walked in by our global VP, Mike Gampson. He said, at the end of the day, your time here is going to be finite. I'd be naive to think you were going to stay here and work 50 years. If you do, great, but if not,
that age is over.
Yeah, that's just what it is.
Over. People don't do that no more.
Especially because LinkedIn has the data. We know how often people move jobs. So he made this he would make this bell curve, and he was like, this is where you are, right, on your career. If you look at experience on this axis and then salary or tenure or whatever on this axis, normal plotting is just straight up and to the right. It's my goal is to make it a hockey stick where it drastically accelerates you. And that's what LinkedIn did, man. It accelerated the way I thought it accelerated the money I made. It accelerated the relationships I built and the people that I met. It accelerated just my personal sort of human capital. LinkedIn we had a speaker series where we brought different people in every month to speak. So I saw General Stanley McChrystal, Ariana Huffington, Cory Booker, just phenomenal speakers.
That's amazing.
So it was just
they're invested in their talent.
Yeah, for sure.
Their whole well-being, not just like you said. That's the type of if I was going to work for someone, that's the type of environment that I would want to be in. That they want to see you grow as a person in your career and everything, and they're investing in your talent, especially by bringing in those type of people. That sounds like a really, really dope experience. How long?
I met some of my closest friends in life.
Oh yeah.
I've been to Greece with those friends. I've been to Mexico with those friends. I've spoken at one of my friends' weddings in Jamaica. And honestly, truthfully, this is the diverse set of friends. This is the group of friends that did not go to HBCUs and are not from Detroit, but allow me to have conversation and better understand different things, which I think is probably the biggest issue in our country right now. If you look at your phone, or you look at your Facebook, or you look at your Twitter, if everybody looks like you, is from where you're from, or went to the same school you went to, you have no diversity of thought. And so that was the other thing that LinkedIn brought to me, man.
Hey man, that's deep, dog. That's really deep. I just want to focus on one of those things that you said you gained from it, because thought is so important. Whatever you put in your mind, the information that you receive, the books that you read, the videos that you watch, the TV that you watch, thought and the things that go into your mind, your mindset controls, basically what end up happening around you. So how did LinkedIn just help you increase your thought? You said that it accelerated your thought.
Yeah, so I worked with just some of the most phenomenal and talented people ever at LinkedIn, and just through osmosis, right? Nobody just did LinkedIn. People were on the boards of nonprofits. They were working on their own startups. And so, just in hearing what people were doing, what people were thinking, and then also just LinkedIn proactively pushing you to do and think different ways, it just helped me. I read more than I had ever read in my life while I was at LinkedIn.
That's what's up.
And just the people were so smart. I learned sales strategy being there. It was a phenomenal experience.
I want to talk about sales strategy. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but I'm just really impressed with what I'm hearing about LinkedIn, because, obviously everyone knows about LinkedIn, but I didn't know that type of environment and things that they had going on behind the scenes. So, again, man, I appreciate you coming in to share some of that information. Just being with LinkedIn, or what was your role there at LinkedIn? What did you do?
Yeah. So I was in sales. I was the account executive. So LinkedIn is set up hunter-farmer, meaning There's one group of people that would go after all net new clients, so companies that weren't spending money with us on a corporate side. And there was another group that once it was closed would then be responsible for growing the spend. I was on the all net new side. And so I sold Sales Navigator, which is LinkedIn's enterprise sales software. So I was working with. I know what that is. So the thing is, LinkedIn is set up on two sides. There's the consumer side, which is you who goes to free LinkedIn every day. Right. Okay. Which is what everybody's used to. But the fact of the matter is, something has to pay for us to.
Yeah. That's a good question. So how do y'all make money?
Yeah. So we refer to it as like hire, market, sell. So there's another version of LinkedIn that's built with the needs of a recruiter in mind. So someone that needs to find and engage talent really quickly. Right. There's another version that I sold, which was focused on salespeople, right? So helping salespeople identify prospects, better understand what's important to those prospects, both work and non-work related, and then ultimately engage them in a way that they're going to be more responsive. And then there's also a marketing side, right? So the marketing that you see on LinkedIn. So that's how we pay for the free version that you're used to going on.
Right. But like people like regular consumers, they can pay for like plus versions, premiums and whatnot.
So the difference between that versus what I sold and what my peers sold was a company or a corporation buying at scale on behalf of their people, right? So instead of one recruiter buying one recruiter seat online, a company buying 500 for their entire recruiting department.
Oh,
so that's the difference.
I got you. That's what's up. That's dope. How long were you there at LinkedIn?
So almost 4 years.
4 years.
Almost 4 years, yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. So it was a good experience. That's what's up, man. That's really good to hear, that you were able to learn those new things and just be around. Because that's one of my main goals with my business. I just want to be around smart people. People who are smarter than me, who don't look like me, who just have a lot to offer, who read a lot of books, who encourage you to read. Like, man, I need to read just so I can keep up and make sure, like you said, that I fit in at the table and learn those different types of things, man. So I commend you for that, man. And what happened after LinkedIn?
Yeah, so
that's your last company?
That was second to last company. So then Qualtrics. So I moved out here to Dallas.
Back to Dallas. Can't get away from the D-Town, the other D-Town.
Yeah. So Qualtrics actually presented at the LinkedIn conference, and I liked what I saw. They fit what I wanted to do next from LinkedIn, which was go work for a company that was, a mature startup. So, still private, but not necessarily 10 people in a garage still trying to figure it out. Very, very mature. And then also it was a complex sale, which is something that I wanted. At LinkedIn, I sold a widget. I sold one single product, one single thing, whereas Qualtrics, the best way I explained it to people, at LinkedIn, I sold a white Air Force One, size 9. And either you fit it or I convinced you to fit it, and it was the color that you want, and it did exactly, it went with the outfit that you had on. Yeah. At Qualtrics, I sell all of Nordstrom's shoe department. So I need to figure out what color you want, what type of shoe you want. Do you want a heel? Do you want stitching? Like, it's such a complex solution. And so that coupled with just the leadership team that was here in Dallas when I started to have that conversation made Qualtrics the right move next from LinkedIn.
So Qualtrics, was it all like, in a lot of these roles, is it all on the phone, or you actually get to go face-to-face interaction?
So
do you get to have fancy dinners with clients or they pay and shit like that?
So Cowboys was all phone, but that was because I was really, really young in my career. Groupon was a little bit more face-to-face interaction. At LinkedIn, it was face-to-face interaction. But, being in technology, a lot of my clients were comfortable with let's just video chat. Like, that's more efficient for me than you coming on site or us going to dinner.
That's true. Yeah, that is more cost efficient.
Yeah, or you flying out here. Or, they're super focused on, like, work-life balance and technology, so they didn't want to be away from their kids at night.
I got you.
But, I had face-to-face conversation with executives in every single role I've been in.
Got you.
So, yeah.
That's what's up, man. So, got a chance to hang out a little bit over this past weekend for the Michigan State UM game. You're like, bro, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do your show, man. There's a lot going on. I'm like in this middle of this transition. I don't know if I'm moving.
Yeah.
Turns out you are moving.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, is it, you know, I know you're no longer at the company, so can you tell us what you're about to do now and who you're about to go work for? Because I find that also quite interesting.
Yeah, so my career has sort of come full circle. So started off with the Cowboys and ended up staying in touch with my vice president, who's, you know, a mentor and a friend and a big brother. And so he's always been like, yo, I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back in sports. And so he finally got me back, moving to Vegas next week to go work for Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
A new stadium project selling suites. And so
I don't know if I can do no business with you, but when I get my bread, I'm going to hit you up. I'm like, Brian, I'm bringing about 10 people, set me up. You know what I'm saying? Bring some clients because this is a great way to network and market. So
yeah. So you know, I've thought about going back into sports for a few different projects, new different stadiums, Minnesota, Atlanta, San Francisco, but I didn't want to sell local, right? I got really used to selling national, and in some scenarios, I was having conversations with global clients. And the thing that's exciting about Vegas is it's such a transient market. The buyers are going to be outside of Vegas. There'll be buyers in Vegas, but I mean, I think our clients will equally come from LA, San Francisco, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, anybody that's flying private in and out of Vegas consistently. So really, really unique, really excited. I know the leadership team there, so I'm excited.
Also, you're already familiar with some of the people who work there?
Yeah. So I worked with one of them before at the Cowboys, and we knew each other in passing. And then also the guy that I'm going to work directly for, I actually sold to him when he was at the Miami Dolphins when I was at LinkedIn. So we had a relationship that way.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So when you headed out there?
Yeah. What time is it? So probably like Monday or Tuesday. I'm gonna get
Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. So you're gonna ship all your stuff out there and then follow it?
No. So I'm gonna get on the road and leave my stuff here, and I'll come back and get it in a few weeks.
Dang. Is this the quickest time that you ever had to up and move?
Yeah. No, yeah. Definitely very, very fast. But I mean, I was pretty confident I was going to get the role. So like I started to make plans and preparations throughout having those conversations. And then once, you know, the offer came, I was able to just kind of pull the trigger and start.
You had to fly to Vegas for like an interview?
No, luckily I didn't. Just we had enough relationships where everything could be done over phone and over video chat. Got
you. When do they start out there?
Yeah, so the new stadium opens in 2020.
2020, so they're going to be in Oakland until the next two or 3 years?
I believe so. I don't know when the property ends on like the stadium that they're in, but they'll either be there or they'll come over and be in like a temporary stadium similar to like the Chargers. Yeah.
Okay. So you'll be selling group suites, you said?
So I'll be selling suites.
Suites.
Yeah. So like, you know, large companies that want to use it for either, you know, entertainment of clients.
I'm about to say, not just for the football games now. Like, we're going to get the most out of this suite, just like Jerry get the most out of Jerry's world.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll be fun, man. I'm excited.
Right on. So kind of want to just shift gears a little bit. We talked a little bit about your experience. Now we need to get into these sales because most people, like I told you last night when we spoke, that a lot of people that came on my show have been entrepreneurs. You probably know a few of them. My boy Gene, Miracle, you know, are all entrepreneurs. And I've read books or saw things online about some entrepreneurs who don't see themselves as salesmen, which I think is insane. Yeah. Because you always have to be selling something. So for some entrepreneurs who are out there, this is a completely new age as far as selling goes. What are some tips that you would give to them as when they're trying to get their product out there, whatever that product may be, whether it's cars or socks with Gene or Miracle or my ebooks or speaking services? What are just some general sales tips that everyone should go in knowing? Yeah, so I think one of the things that I was told really early on that really still resonates to me this day is you look at things like from the scenario of like a weight scale, right? Mm-hmm. On one side, you got experience. On the other side, you got work ethic. The less or more you have of one another, they can compensate. So if you don't have a lot of experience in something, you need to just outwork everybody. Like that's the starting place. Like, and that was something that
I did. I came to Texas. I had no network, no car. Like I wasn't, a frat kid from Texas. So I didn't have relationships. And like, I just really, really worked hard. Like we were in the office at, 9 a.m. on a Saturday, like to the point where our boss was like, all right, y'all can't be in here. Like y'all working too much. So I think that's the first thing is just like having the effort, having the grit. I think the second thing too, man, just never be afraid to make the dial. Like, never be afraid to make the call or ask the question or seek out someone. Because at the end of the day, they can only do one or two things. They can say yes or no, right? So, like, you shouldn't be scared of a no.
Now, that's true. That's true. Now, when I first started off with Everett Jones, we had a list where we were, like, working. It was, like, basically like a retention list that some of the veteran financial advisors, their clients, they were inactive. They weren't really doing anything. They may have had a few bucks in their account. They may have had, $100,000, but they just weren't doing any business. And a lot of times it was uncomfortable to get on the phone to make that call, especially when you don't have a lot of experience. So what are some things that you just use to kind of get over that hurdle? Because it's uncomfortable. At least it was uncomfortable to me. I don't know if you felt it was uncomfortable just kind of starting to make those calls and pick up the phone.
Honestly, man, I hate cold calls. Like, and anybody that says they love cold calls is lying, yo. Like, because it's disruptive, right? Like, you're calling someone and disrupting their day and hoping that they're willing to give you the conversation. But with that said, if you're authentic, if you take a true interest in helping them and not just making money off of them, and you can deliver that, and you can ask that question, then, like, for me, like, I would be respectful, like, if somebody, like, you know what, like, I'm just not interested right now, like, but I appreciate that. And at the end of the day, man, like, it's kind of like baseball. I was telling my mentee this. It's kind of like baseball, right? Like, if you hit 300 in baseball, you go to the Hall of Fame, right? So, like, if you get two conversations out of 10 dials, like, that's high. Like, you need to be very, very, very comfortable with hearing no often in sales, because even if you shoot 2 for 10, like, you can live really, really well in sales shooting 2 for 10. But if you can't take them 8 losses, then you're gonna be too sensitive, and you're not meant to be where you're at.
Hey, that's one of the things I learned when I first started with Everett Jones, when they were talking about sales, making calls. Hey, the more no's you hear, the closer you get to that yes. Yeah. So let's talk about, I guess, sales strategy as far as it goes with the numbers game. Do you, when you're going and maybe in your profession, do you say, look, if I'm wanting to sell one suite, I need to talk to X amount of people, or what type of strategy would you be going into your new role for?
Building I think that's where I think LinkedIn definitely helped, and that's where tech as an overall it helped. Just like
I want to talk about that too, because go ahead.
With like the Moneyball approach to things. So at the Cowboys, it was literally just smiling dollars, make as many dollars as you can, and that was going to lead to wins. Now I'm more apt to try and better understand my process and better understand A/B test on different things, right? So is it dial, email, dial, LinkedIn message? Is it dial, email, dial? Is it just straight dials? And like actually discover like what's actually yielding the best responses. So like take 30 or 60 days to try different things and see and actually measure that, and then sort of back into it, right? So if my goal is, let's just keep it super simple, $100, right? And, I convert, 2 out of every 10 people I talk to. Well, then that means I need 10 meetings to get one of those conversions, right? Simple math says I need to do enough activity to set 20 appointments to get to this number. And just sort of back into that. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away, is that sort of that Moneyball strategy of better understanding, what inputs lead to this output, which leads to this output, which leads to this output, which leads to a win.
Now let's rewind this a little bit, because some people who's listening may have went over their head, or who's watching may have went over their head, because I just learned what A/B testing was by doing my MailChimp, my email marketing campaigns. Can you just explain that in layman's terms? What is A/B testing?
So most people, when they're doing something, they just decide they're going to do it this way and just keep going no matter what the outcome is. So A/B testing is basically taking different variables and seeing how different the outcomes are and determining like what's the better thing to do, right? So taking your MailChimp example, simple A/B test would be sending an email out at 6 a.m., sending an email out at 5 p.m. Which one gets a better open rate? Which one gets a better response rate? And doing that over, a good amount of time to like determine is this a trend? And, if you're getting 50% more response on 6 p.m. versus 6 a.m., then that's what you go with. Rather than just continuing to go 6 a.m. without ever trying anything else to see if any variable is going to change the outcome.
See, this is why I wanted to bring my man Brian Albritton in, because entrepreneurs can use this type of information. So again, I appreciate you coming in. We are live on the Alston Collab Money Talk, streaming live on the Fishbowl Radio Network at fbrn.us. Also streaming live on Facebook, man. If you guys have some questions about sales strategy, go ahead and comment your questions. If you find any of this information helpful, make sure you go out and share it. You can also call us live at area code 214-556-6239. Right now, we are talking sales. Hey, I'm working on an ebook, or not an ebook, but actual book that's probably going to drop a year or two from now.
Nice. About
10 ways on how I effed up as a first-time entrepreneur. My first chapter is called, if you're not selling, you're not gelling. So you got to, everything that you look around is sales. You have to sell, a girl why she should go out with you. You need to, sell your parents on why you should go and want to, follow your dreams. You're always selling. So again, that's why we want to talk about some different sales strategies and, use that to kind of help us in not just our professional career, but our personal lives as well.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. What are some ways that you overcome objections and selling? Because I know that's a part of it as well.
Yeah. So I think it's about understanding their business at the end of the day. So I've been taught every business is trying to, because I sell B2B, right? I sell business to business.
Business to business, yeah.
So I gotta stop using acronyms.
Right. That's your world you in.
So when you're selling business to business, there's typically three things that every business is trying to do. It's one, either find a way to increase their revenue.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Two, try to decrease costs. Or three, try and mitigate risk, right? They're scared of somebody or something that's coming up that could put them at risk to be caught. And so at the end of the day, like every question that I'm asking is typically trying to understand those things. And if I understand, like if you're trying to decrease your cost to serve, right? And I feel like our technology can help you either better understand where there's places to decrease that cost or how to actually do it. When you give me an objection, I should be able to respond, pretty quickly. Like you told me, like that's my go-to. Like you told me that you're trying to do this. Right. Based on that, like I feel like this is something we can help. Like, can we further have that conversation, or are you just don't want to make a decision?
Right. So it sounds like what I took from that is one of the things you need to do is understand their business.
Understand how they make or save money.
Right. And you do that obviously by asking good questions. Do you go in with the list of questions already kind of in your mind, or you just kind of see how it goes?
No, so I mean, I think the worst thing a salesperson could do is ask somebody for time and not be prepared. Because then you lost them. Like you probably annoyed them to the point where even if you got the greatest product in the world, if you're not prepared or you don't know anything about them, then you're gonna lose them. So I try and learn as much as I can about the industry so I can at least try and make informed hypotheses. Right. So like my assumption is like based on every other conversation I've had with every other company that looks, feels, sounds like you guys, is that you guys are in a place where you're probably trying to better understand this so that you can, increase your wallet share with your clients. Am I correct? And if they say yes, then I've got an idea of like what route or what path to take that conversation. If they say no, then I'll just quite simply say, all right, well, tell me like, what is your priority? What's top, 3 things on your mind right now? And then start to have that conversation based on that.
Got you. Now, I don't know when I posted this a while ago. I posted some book I was reading, and then you had comments like, hey, bro, man, that's outdated, man. You need to check out this book. Do you remember what book that was?
Which book did you post?
I think it was think it was Frank Beckshire, how it went from a failure to success in selling. I'm not sure which one it was, but you had recommended another one, and I can't remember what it was.
If I suggested a book, it was probably Challenger Sale.
Challenger Sale?
Yeah.
What is that about? What did they talk about in there?
Yeah, so
Challenger Sale.
Basically, Challenger Sale talks about the different sort of modes or modules that salespeople fall into. And there's one specific group, challengers, that typically outperform all of the rest, like on aggregate. Mm-hmm. And so, first off, like, it's not a fun read. It's a very, very analytical sales book, which is like really, really contradictive. Like, sales and analytics don't really go together. Mm-hmm. But what it talks about is the ability to basically teach, tailor, and take control of every conversation and sales cycle. Mm-hmm. And understand like different things about decision making, right? So like, honestly, we're in a place now where nobody makes a decision by themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody bounces that. Like, even you go to your house, your mom didn't just buy your dad didn't just buy the TV by himself. He had to get permission. And so if you aren't engaged with all of the stakeholders that are around that decision, mm-hmm. then you're at risk of losing that deal, because it only takes one person. You know, I mean, super simple. 4 people in a car, and you want to go to Sonic, and I don't. It only takes one to get you to go somewhere else. Right. So you need to understand the landscape of, the entire sales cycle, start to finish, engage, and have individual relationships with all of those stakeholders, and then also be providing value at every point of that customer journey, so that you can teach at each point, you can take control at each point, you're tailoring at each point. So I don't know if that's what I recommended, but I'm guessing if it was a sales book, it was probably that one.
Mm-hmm. And you just talk about earlier, LinkedIn and the whole technology side of things. So when I first came out of college, when we first started college, Facebook was just coming out, but now YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, can you just talk about how technology has been incorporated into our world of sales now, and how us as young entrepreneurs or salesmen need to start adapting, to the new times? Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I started with the Cowboys, the CRM was hardware, so you couldn't actually do anything at home. Like, you had to be in the office to log a task or to actually put in an account that you had found. Mm-hmm. But now, our CRM that I use now, I have the app on my phone, so I could actually close a deal on my phone. Right, and just tell us what CRM stands for. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. So customer relationship management. So usual suspects would be like Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce. Salesforce is the one everybody has probably heard of. Is that the one y'all use? Yeah, I've used it in a few places. I've used Microsoft Dynamics in a few places. Okay. So I didn't even heard of Microsoft Dynamics. Yeah. Right. So, but yeah, there's so many tools out there. There's so many things that are branding themselves as sales technology, like everything from email tracking, right? So you want to know who's opening your email and who's sharing it. About that, right? Zoom info, right? Data.com, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, SalesLoft. Right. I think, what are some of the other big things? So Eloqua, which is marketing automation. So it's crazy how many things have come into the sales technology stack and ecosystem. And to the point of A/B testing that we talked about. If you're in sales, you need to figure out what are the tools or the things that you need and invest. Don't be cheap, because at the end of the day, the more money you make, the more money you take home. Right. I had so many people who were so upset about paying for LinkedIn because they were using LinkedIn for free. And I'm like, but you're gleaning so much value. If I can show you how you can get more, that only increases your paycheck. And the cost is very minimal in comparison to what you're going to take home. Right. So don't be afraid to try new things that are going to help increase your take home at the end of the day. Hey, and dig this, entrepreneurs out there listening or watching, you may not know it yet, but if you don't, you are in sales. For sure. Absolutely. You are in sales. You will not have a business if you're not selling something. Now, one thing that I've learned along my journey and just reading different books, articles, and blogs is that one of the first things you need to do is, when you're trying to sell something, is kind of qualify your prospect. Now, when you're going out here, so I'm going to say there's one thing you do before that. What's that? You sell yourself. sell yourself.
Like, if they don't even trust you, it's not even worth the conversation.
Right.
Like, that's the first thing you do before you qualify, because they're vetting you.
Right.
Right.
That's important. That's important.
Yeah.
That's definitely important. And for anyone out there, you got to sell yourself. That's so, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. Got to sell yourself. But since I know you have a relationship, I probably wouldn't be a good prospect for the Las Vegas suites just yet.
Yet is the key.
Yet. So when you move out there, how are you going to find these people who can afford these suites? Do they give you a list of people to call on, or do you just go down to Las Vegas Strip to the casino, say, "Hey, you trying to
Who's hot?
Right?
Who's hot on the casino?"
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, so, to the point, right, the company, obviously, they're going to invest in sales tools. So they're going to provide, a list of accounts that have already been vetted or scored, or the ones that they think are going to be valuable. Mm-hmm. From there, I mean, I've been in it long enough to know, like, kind of what it looks like, right? So you're looking for a company that, that, yeah, for sure. At the size, I mean, somebody might just have it, but for the most part, you're looking for a company that, they're entertaining clients. So they need a place where if I tell you, hey, I want to meet you at the Las Vegas Raiders game, against the Cowboys, you're not going to say no to that. Right. And that's going to give me 4 hours of FaceTime to try and close you.
See, that's where I'm trying to go. Because I'm looking at it as a business, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
In return on this investment.
Companies that take human capital really seriously, right? Companies are now doing the math around, like, what it costs to replace someone that leaves. So companies that want to make sure that their employees are happy and they're treated.
Edward Jones did that. They kept us, the interns, in suites and giving tickets away.
There's hard math around, like, what value is lost when a company loses an employee, top performer or low performer, right? Just the human capital and the fact you're going to have to train someone new, right? So if they can keep somebody in seat or in company for 18 months longer, just off of showing them some love, that's a huge win. The cost of the suite is cheap compared to what they save on that.
That's a good point. Hey, speaking of that, this is a perfect segue. I'm showing somebody some love. I'm giving away 2 tickets to see the Dallas Mavericks take on the Atlanta Hawks next Wednesday on October 18th. All you got to do is go like my Facebook page, the Alston Collaborative, share one of our posts, share this video, and you will be entered for a chance to win 2 tickets again next week to see the Dallas Mavericks, because I'm trying to show some love, like my man said, man. All day. So, yeah, absolutely. So, man, I appreciate you definitely for coming to spend some time with me. There's one more question before I do my rapid fire questions. And that's just, quick, fun questions, and you give me back the quickest answer. One thing I guess you could tell a young salesman, just based on some of the mistakes that you made from starting out with the Cowboys to where you are now. There's a couple other suggestions and tips for a young salesman out there, whether entrepreneur or in the sales role. Yeah,
so this is something I learned later in my career that I wish I knew originally. So the metric is PI, performance, image, exposure.
Performance.
And you think about it like a pie chart. 20% is performance. So, like, performing is just table stakes. It's just something you're supposed to do. Image and exposure makes up 80%. So who knows you and what they think about you typically is 4x more impactful in your career than just winning, just closing the business. Now, again, performance is table stakes. You should do that. But again, who knows you and what they think about you? If you ever saw somebody like, man, that dude, they not that. How did they get that? That's image and exposure. That's somebody thought highly enough about them, and they had the brand to get to that place. Like, and I don't know about you. I know a few people. I'm like, yo, how are they doing that? Like,
I say the same thing, you Cardi B. But hey, I don't hate. Get it how you get it, because someone like it, obviously. But I see that. I'm like, man, that motivates me. Like, man, I know if they can do it, I can do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but again, I don't hate on no one out here who's making a living and getting paid. So shout out to that. Yeah. For them, whoever is, doing big things. Pie. That's performance, image, and exposure. You say image and exposure makes up how
80%.
80%.
Performance makes up 20%.
80%. All right. seem to see that ratio a lot. Like, I feel like whenever you go start the Raiders or whatever, out of the whole sales force, probably like 20% would be making up majority of the sales. Something
20 and 80.
Yeah, 20 and 80.
Typically 20% make up 80% of the revenue.
Right.
Typically 20% of your book makes up 80% of the revenue.
Right.
Yeah, 20-80 is a pretty normal stat.
20-80. Right on. Let's go ahead and jump in, man, to these rapid questions, man. I know you got.
If I'm ready.
Yeah, I know you got business to take care of, things to handle, man. You moving and shaking. Like I said, man, again, congratulations on your big move with the Las Vegas Raiders. Like I said, I'm gonna get my bread up so I can come out there and holler at you, do a little gambling, have a little fun, get some food, see a game, a concert. You know, it don't matter.
This is love too. I haven't even really made that public on the Raiders thing, so people watching the video are gonna be like, "Damn, like really?"
Hey. Give my man some love. Shout this dude out, man. He out here holding it down. So, yeah, man, I thank you for coming on and making it public live on the Alston Collab Money Talk. So make sure y'all tune in every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network, FBRN.US, and on Facebook. And, hey, go check out my YouTube channel as well. I'm uploading most of these videos on there as well. So definitely check that out. So, the next few the rapid fire questions. Okay. The next place that you want to visit or vacate?
Thailand.
Me too. I'm with you on that. If you could date one actress or a singer, who would it be?
Janae Yoko. She already likes Detroit dudes. So, man, what's up?
You see, she got that Big Sean tatted on her arm.
Yeah.
Hey, but I like
that edited.
Right. I like her vibe though. I like her vibe. Hey, who is your favorite sports team? Football or basketball?
Michigan football. Michigan Wolverines. Michigan basketball.
So you like college football over NFL?
I like all things Michigan. So man, Michigan checkers, chess. I don't know if they got a Michigan golf team.
Right.
I grew up a Michigan fan. Fab Five, Charles Woodson.
I dig it. If there is one like businessman or salesman or big time entrepreneur that you could meet, who would that be?
That I could meet. Oh, Elon Musk for sure.
That's a brilliant mind. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That dude is, I think, he's literally like a genius.
Yeah. His book is so dope too.
Right.
Check it out.
Right. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
No doubt.
Jobs got all my money.
Right. We on a MacBook.
iPhone,
iPad.
Yeah,
all of that. Hey, man, and one last question, man. What's the best HBCU out there in the country?
I know. No question. Hampton all day.
Hampton University. Shout out to Hampton University. Shout out to my man, Brian Albritton, for coming to spend some time with me. Thank you, brother. Thank you again.
Okay. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate having me on.
Oh, yeah. Good luck out there in Vegas. Hey, we're going to take a short break. Go out here and get this photo out. I'll be right back. We are streaming live on the Fishbowl Radio Network, FBRN.US. Also live on Facebook. We'll be right back. Thank you.